First of all, for being here today. We're so delighted. The Damascus Project, we're in our 3-year covenant. This is the third of a 3-year covenant. And the idea was to try to figure out a way to use the lessons that we have learned in microfinance in the developing world and apply them to a first world situation, our situation, to help our neighbors, to have transformational things happen in their lives by starting new businesses and that can change the lives of families and whole communities. And remember, just the basic tenets are access to capital, and not really a whole lot, some training and education, and communities of support and accountability. So we're going to hear those stories today, and we were so blessed. God sent into our lives LEDC, the Latino Economic Development Center, and Alex Boychuk has been our point person all along. And so she's going to be the moderator today, and she's going to help us to hear some wonderful and inspiring stories. Before I stop talking, I want to thank Steve Francis there, who is a vestry member who is our parish link to LEDC and this ministry of the Damascus Project. And there's more to come. Welcome, everyone, and if you'll please give us St. Paul's welcome to our guests.
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank everybody for taking time of your Sunday and for being here to hear the stories. I'm going to sit down now. So my name is Alexandra Boychuk. I'm the Senior Program Manager of Empowered Women International, and you have no idea what an honor it is for me to be here. First of all, I live in Alexandria. This is my community. I grew up here when I say grew up, I came here 12 years ago as an immigrant, so I grew up in the last decade here, and I'm so happy now for you guys to hear some stories. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started, but I wanna thank St. Paul and Damascus Project because I used to serve Alexandria back in 2014 and 15 and 16, and then we lost our funding. And it's hard when you don't have funding and you see the community in need. And I'm sure a lot of you know in nonprofit, if there's no grant, you cannot serve. And it's hard to say no. And when this opportunity came about 3 years ago, it was one of the biggest delight of my heart to be able to do that again. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. This is a really casual conversation with the ladies. They're gonna speak much more than I am anyways. So first I want to get to know our panelists, and I'm gonna ask the ladies to introduce themselves and share their story with you guys, okay? So let's start there. Suji?
Good morning, my name is Suhey Calderon. I'm a speech language pathologist. My business is a pediatric speech services here in Alexandria. I'm originally from Colombia, and I have to go all over the tests and all over the requirements to become a speech pathologist here in the States. I'm a national certified speech pathologist, and my business name is Parla Speech. Parla in Italian and in Catalan and in so many languages means a talk or speech. So that's what I decided to pick that name. I'm very grateful for you guys being here and give us this opportunity. And also I'm gonna thank St. Paul for give us the opportunity to get that scholarship. I will say I was part of the first cohort in Alexandria to take advantage of that class. I tried so many times before, but they always say, no, you are not a DC resident, you're not a Maryland resident, so I couldn't take advantage of that. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joanna Lopez. I am the founder and director of Maranatha Education Center, and we focus on providing business English and Spanish classes for professionals and business owners that need that language capacity or fluency to be able to connect with their clients or even with their colleagues. So I've had, for example, business owners, construction business owners that want to communicate with their team and they need to learn Spanish. And I've had business or even just workers that have a really good potential of becoming superintendents or having higher positions in companies, but they need that professional English. So that's my focus. A little bit about myself. I'm from Colombia too. I came here when I was 12. And I would say, throughout my whole education, high school, completing high school here, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and now starting this business. It's all been through mentorships, through programs like LEDC. So I'm just very thankful to LEDC and to you guys for opening up this, this space to talk and to learn more about us. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jessica B. I'm a fashion designer, stylist, home cook. My brand is called Huzzy Nibbles, where street fashion meets tacos with a spicy twist. It all started from my passion for serving the community through my fashion brand. I will host annually Feed the Houseless events. That's where I discovered my passion for cooking, as well as my experience, my 15 years experience of working in the hospitality industry, and my problems that I would get fired from these jobs. So I decided to take that experience of working in the hospitality industry and apply it to my business. One of my main struggles as a fashion designer was working capital for my brand. So I started to do a food fundraiser. I started to sell tacos for fabric, and that's how Huzzy Nibbles was born. I would go out to in DC in underserved communities, and I would serve vegan tacos and chicken tacos, and I would literally sell tacos for fabric. That was the slogan as a fundraiser, but it eventually grew into its own business, and people book me for catering. I can pop up at your office events and cater to you guys. So that's literally how my entrepreneurial experience have been evolving and continuing to evolve. And I think LEDC, last year I had the opportunity to be in their food initiative program, and I was able to write my business plan. So now I'm able to go out and shop with investors and pitch my business with confidence. So thank you guys for opening your doors today and hearing our stories and receiving us. I appreciate you.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Adams, and it is an honor to be here. I was part of EWI in Alexandria, the first forum and cohort. And for me, LEDC came into my life. My business had already been from 2015, but because of my background, I just hadn't set it up properly. And so they became sort of a therapeutic situation for me. I have been in Alexandria since I was 13. However, I became a ward of the court and have been part of the criminal justice system for 39 years. And so when I came into the program, I had started a company because I had learned how to Braille while incarcerated. And I had opened up my company, and I only hire felons that receive their certifications through incarceration. And anyone that goes through my program becomes self-sufficient within 90 days, which is important to beat recidivism. But not only that, they helped me with a fear because I have 22 felonies to my name. I was an accountant, and I had this fear of having a legitimate business. Don't worry, I paid my taxes every year. I made sure they were filed. I knew that, but I had no business plan. I was afraid of what I already knew. And EWI and the ladies just cheered me on because I already had the business sense. I was just afraid of the success. And so now, years into it, you go through bumps. And so I'm rebranding and rebuilding Dot Over Dot. And so it's an honor to be here to talk with you all because I'm doing that in Alexandria, as well as Alexandria has embraced my journey for so many things to allow my voice to be heard, that things can change. But they only change when you're embraced by a community. And they only change when people are willing to be unconditionally able to assist, and that there's not selfish need. And LDC is 100% that. I cried in those meetings, I screamed, I fussed, I wanted to leave, and every time they understood. They never rejected me. They understood that for me, I was a different part of their journey, and they embraced that, and they still embrace that today.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry. ladies and gentlemen, this is your community. This is the women in your community, all Alexandria residents that have businesses and serve with your help. So on this side, we've heard some of the challenges, but I want to move past here a little bit because you guys haven't shared that. A little bit of like, what were your biggest challenges when you came to this country, when you started this business? Like, what were the biggest challenges you encountered?
Well, the first one is that you have to get licensed if you want to become a speech language pathologist here. So I opened I go through all the tests. I have to study a lot. I got my master's degree here in Howard University. And then I start building. You have to go and learn from other businesses how this works. However, people take advantage of you during the process. So that's a disadvantage. But you learn. And when I started the business, the problem was a lot of people came and they don't want to pay out of pocket. They want to pay using the insurance. So that was a big step because the insurance delayed the process. It can take from 180 days to 90 days. It depends. And that's, for me, was a big, big challenge because you have to pay your bills. You have to get that money, that income. And one of the challenges that I'm facing right now is I'm growing a little, every day a little more, and I'm looking for a space that is affordable for my practice to start like having a roof, my house and the other people's houses. So that's another one of the challenges that I'm facing now because the market is, even though there are a lot of space open, they are very expensive. And that's something that I need to save a little more to be able to get that. I came to the U.S. in 2006, and so it was a process for me in the terms of that it was a new language, a new culture. I have to learn all the logistics of the environment because here in the U.S. is completely different to what it is in Colombia. So that is a big step. Like, you never think about it before you move to a different country. That was challenging, but I'm very pleased and grateful that I have a group of friends that they are very supporting and a family that have been supporting me all this way. I think it is.
Well, we share a lot of the same challenges, but I'll add, learning a new language. There's a component of, not being confident enough to talk in front of people, or even once you do get your licenses, as a teacher, I had to go through a lot of testing and, internships and so on. But then once you are actually in a classroom and you're teaching and you have coworkers and you're like usually the only Latina, I actually worked here at John Adams Elementary, and it's intimidating. So even knowing the language at some point, but just knowing in the back of your head that you have an accent, or sometimes you would get people's reactions like, oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? Like, all those little things, nuances that can make you feel, self-conscious was a huge challenge. And I would add another challenge for me was the lack of information. So, and it's to no one's fault. It was, we were immigrants. We didn't know a lot of information, resources that are available. And I was just sharing this with you earlier, that even when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I didn't even know what a graduate assistantship was. And, it was through a mentorship program that they helped me, like, there is this resource, you should apply for it. And then that's how I was able to get my master's degree. So little things like that. So if you meet someone, an immigrant, share resources if you know about them, because the chances are that they don't know about them,
Well, thank you. So I want to move a little bit of conversation, since this is a conversation about the community, and we're talking about the Alexandria community, and the theme started thank you, Jenny, by know your neighbor, because we wanted you guys to know your neighbor. I'm going to move it to a question of what would you wish your community and neighbors would have done to support you in those challenging situations? Like, what is something you wish somebody would have said or done for you? I'm going to start with you, Deborah.
So when I came home from prison, I went to the guest house. And the guest house, I'm a graduate of the guest house program, actually. But one of the things that was the struggle in the community is I came out of prison as a contractor. I was the first person to ever walk out of the Department of Corrections employed by the state of Virginia. But people didn't understand that I was in a journey of learning how to rebuild. So in their mind, they saw a woman that could articulate, they saw a woman that could present herself well, but they didn't know the trauma. And so because the assumption of what you saw was that I had it together, people weren't as willing to hear my story. And one of the things with EWI was, in the midst of my struggle, they listened to my story. Why are you afraid? Why, you're smart enough to do this, why haven't you done it? Well, that was my crime. I was afraid of it. So people took that, and it was a disadvantage for me. People didn't understand that going to prison and serving years in a criminal justice system is trauma. And don't get me wrong, I own my behavior 100%. I made the choices, I did the crimes, I harmed people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my choices caused my own trauma in my life. And because of that, I had to learn how not to be that person anymore. And the community tends to go with what they see and not what they're hearing. And so for me, if people would have listened to my story for real, it would have been easier in my struggle of building my company. And even now, here I am, and because of the pandemic, I'm having to remarket and rebirth the blind, what the blind need. This is, if we didn't read, we'd be ignorant. The blind are the same way. And so we go around our community, there aren't restaurants with menus. There's so much that's needed in this community, but it's a cost to get there. And in their mind, verbally they can tell them, but you're doing a disservice. Because for me, you want me to read, you want me to write, why don't we do that for those that are disserviced? The laws say to do it, but because people don't want to invest in hearing that, it's a disadvantage for me.
So for me, honestly, I wish my community and neighbors would have provided more teamwork support. As a small business owner, the main thing as building a business, you have to have a very sufficient team to go anywhere, to go far. You can't go by yourself. So there was times where I would try to do like barter cases with people, where if I needed help with assistance with pop-ups or assistance with help sewing my garments, I couldn't hire people because, as you know, small business owners, we don't have the funds to hire people. So I would try to like barter and do like not the monetary exchange, but I can maybe give you something and you help me out. And a lot of people forget that your time is very valuable. And if you can't support a small business owner financially, monetarily, giving your services or time could always be a big help. So that's just one of the things that I wish that, because I would do like, hey, I need help, I'm hiring. And granted, I would want to, sometimes I could pay, but to keep the employee to come back, they'll be like, well, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not gonna come. But at the end of the day, I just be like, sometimes volunteering your services too, you don't always have to be a charity, a big charity. Sometimes the charity could be a small business owner. So just a little note.
So I would say I think what you guys are doing today is a really huge step forward, and just listening to our stories, talking to us. especially with the immigrant community. You know, if you look at social media or just the media in general right now, there's a really negative, image that is being put on immigrants. But I'll tell you, there's the majority, I would say, of immigrants are hardworking. They want to start businesses. They want to be part of the community. They want to contribute to the community. So this is great. And I actually have an upcoming bilingual networking event, and I'll hand out the flyer if you guys want to join and participate, meet other business owners in the community. So I think, just having conversations, really. And if you notice that someone has an accent, just go along with the conversation, like you don't have to make it so obvious that they have an accent. Like we all know that we do, So just conversations, I would say.
And piggyback on that is like, don't let the accent fool you. We're smart people. Yes, for sure. And I would say that giving us the opportunity to be here and share our stories, share who we are. Oh, I hear in that event that we have some people who have a business with Braille, or maybe a teacher or speech pathologist that works around the city that makes our brand being known for more people, and that brings clients. And that's what we need. We really need people to listen and share all the things that you have. It doesn't have to be money. It can be your kindness. Sometimes, as an immigrant, we live on a long path away from our lovely ones. And that makes a big difference. Like flying 6 hours is different from you to take a flight across the country to see your family. A lot of us, we don't have that opportunity. So just see us as a person, as a normal person, that we are trying our best to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I want to answer this question too, because I just feel inclined. 12 years ago, when I moved here after a failed attempt of living in New York City, and I was working at the coffee shop at Killer ESP, and was volunteering at EWI kind of full time. And I wish somebody would have sit me down to explain to me simple things as taxes, as saving, as how to get a job with my background. I'm still happy with how everything turned out. Don't mind me. But, I had no idea how am I going to translate my bachelor degree and my master's from Romania into using it in something, like to the will of God and my luck and everything. EWI found me and took me under, and here I am more than a decade. That's just how life works. But what if that would have not been the case, right? All that money that my mom invested in that college and all that. I just wish those small little things that everybody, understand them and they're normal. But, just, if I would have put $10 a month away 12 years ago, maybe now I would have had a house or, just small little things, because we don't understand them because they don't work like that for us. So that's what I would have wished somebody would have told me. Okay, now let's move a little bit on the bright side, though, right? And just answer one more question before I'm going to let you guys ask some questions to the ladies. Please share an example of how the community and neighbors did support you in that challenge time, because the community did support us in a lot of ways, and we need to champion that and to, cheer on that side as well. So I'm going to start with you.
So my community and neighbors supported me in abundant ways, especially when I started to go out into DC, sharing my story that I was selling tacos for Fabric, fundraising, like people literally was like pouring into me. There was a time back in 2020 during the pandemic, I was a full-time designer at the time, so I was a little bit behind on rent. I created a GoFundMe account. In less than 2 days, I had my rent paid. So it really showed me that my community and my neighbors around me, they cared about my well-being, my creative space, and they wanted to see me continue to pour back into them and continue to create. So my community have, like I said, with the food and just making sure that I'm stable, they always come out and show out. So that's one of my ways.
So the community supported me with, of course, EWI, but also the Small Business Administration of Alexandria said I got into their program, so I now have a website for Dot Over Dot, which I wouldn't have done on my own. And they helped encourage me to set up a sponsorship program that I haven't gotten off yet. We've done the legwork, but now I guess it's funding. But this program, to have someone come out of prison, it costs $2,600 to get them started. So this would be a program that somebody that's a Braille certification would be able to fund, getting them their computer, their software, everything, and they would be employed. So Alexandria has helped me develop this thought in my mind into a program, and now it's just moving forward on getting that done. And then the support is that my story is being heard, and I am now on the Alexandria Forum for the Police Commission Reform, and I am also going to hopefully be the first alumni on the board of Guest House, so they can hear, as well as I'm also part of the blind division of the blind and vision impaired for the state, and having them employ those that have been through the same thing. So the community has very much embraced my journey and supported it.
So I would say, through mentorships, programs like LEDC, I've been able to, go step by step in my journey as a business owner. And also just having people, want to have conversations and learn more about my program and, the purpose that I have for my business has been not only very helpful, but encouraging. So I would also add, there has been different, pitch competitions that the community has created. So participating in those, and I think we talked about it earlier, even if you don't win, first place or anything like that, is just having the practice to be able to, do your elevator pitch and have people listen to it. It really helps you define your vision and your mission and be able to say it and express it with words. So that has been very helpful.
Having the opportunity, excuse me, to work with EWI helped me to create a business plan, to see a clear where I want to go in the future, to establish what was my notch, what I work that I want to work, and also create a budget, because I didn't have a good understanding of what I need to have, because I was spending buying materials and all the stuff, but no, you need to, they helped me to, you need to have for this, you have to pay your taxes this and this time, something that you don't know. I knew that I have to pay to register my company, but I didn't know that you have to follow other laws that are very important for your business too. So have the grants and opportunities help a lot. And also, I will say that when someone knows your work and is able to share it with others, that help you a lot. That give you, say, I'm doing what I want, I love to do, and also I'm doing it right. And that's how you can share what you have. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move to questions, I just want to do a quick 30-second fire round of what is your need right now? Because this is a room of network and resources. We're not saying you necessarily, but maybe you know somebody that knows somebody to put in touch to continue helping these entrepreneurs. So you go first.
My need right now is to buy an embosser. Before, everything was electronically done, and so you would send electronic files and they would emboss for themselves. Since the pandemic, that has all shifted. So now people want the total package. So that's my next expense. And then supporting people. We have 6 candidates right now that in the next 6 months could come out and be self-sufficient, but financially it's just not there yet. So those 2 things.
One of my needs right now for my food business would be permits, licensing. As I mentioned, I would go out in the streets of DC and actually sell my tacos. And as you know, you need resellers licensing, permit, food handlers license. So if you guys have any resources or any programs that you know of, that would be greatly appreciated. And also maybe a space where I can have like a commercial kitchen. That's another thing because I can't also make food outside of my house. So those are the needs.
I would say two things. One is students in my Spanish program. So if any of you want to take Spanish classes, let me know. And yeah, thank you. And the other one would be, se me fue la paloma. I forgot. I had it in my mind. I'll come back.
Well, again, I'm looking for a space. It has to be a that I can accommodate kids because they like a comfy space. So I don't need like a big office, anything like that. I'm looking for something small and comfortable that I can organize all the toys that I have because, as you know, kids love toys. So if you know someone that has a space, I'm looking for one here in Alexandria. More of my clients I go to their houses from Arlington to Alexandria and Alexandria West, and here in Old Town too.
Okay, thank you.
I remember. I remember. So one of the programs that I run is free English classes for children in Latin America. It's all online. And I haven't been able to do it anymore because of time constraints. So if any of you would like to volunteer in teaching that class, or if you know anyone who has maybe a teaching background and wants to do that, that would be amazing because it's a very special program.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That is such a great initiative. Now I want to open if you guys have any questions. Oh, about our program? Okay, so through the Damascus Project at LEDC, we have several programs. One of it being the one that I run, which is Empowered Women International, and it's a cohort-based class of 18 classes where we put a woman in that class, a woman that has a passion and a viable idea. And I put a big emphasis on that because passion is needed. That is literally the gasoline for the business for a long time, right? And you need to have that passion and like what you're doing, and viable because, we need viable businesses to run around. And in those 18 classes, what we do is we build that foundation and structure from the ground up, What's the missions? What's the values? What's the long-term goal? Okay, but what's the short goal? Right? And how do we get there? Then going and talking about the services. Entrepreneurs are very creative, magic minds. So they come and I want to do this and this and that. And we have to okay, let's start with one first, okay? No, but I want to sell eggs and wings and sushi. No. What do you actually like? What are you good at, right? Then in thinking, okay, who's your customer? Everybody. Okay, let's. These are the fights sometimes we have. I'm like, come on, please, right? But then going into the marketing of when you know what you're selling to who you're selling, that's when we can start talking about marketing and works for you. And then the financial aspect, which is the most excruciating for the entrepreneurs for classes. But, learning what goes into selling that mug, right? Not just because at Walmart it's $3 and I sell it with $4. Why? Variable costs, fixed costs, how to price yourself and paying yourself. Because somehow they forget to pay themselves that's included in the product or the service, right? And at the end, we ended up with a business plan, a 20 pages business plan, and that is all because it's my fault. They keep trying to make me change it, but I like old-fashioned, and I like, the women to go into it and research and write 2 pages about the competitors, not just Walmart is my competitor. why is Walmart? How you're different? What's your story in order to sell that mug much more expensive than that? And we have a pitch that you probably are going to get an invite. It's going to be at the end of June for this upcoming class where the women pitch their business to the community and judges, they showcase, and so on. And on the other side of the services at LEDC, we do technical assistance, so 101, because some of the women or men, because we serve men as well on the other side at LEDC. They already have businesses, right? They don't necessarily need the business plan, but they need a marketing plan, or they need to learn how to repackage, or some permits because some law changes, and that's when we do 101 and several different webinars and workshops. Right now, my colleague Valeria is running I don't know the name in Spanish. Something social media marketing on a Thursday. It's Jueves Reventes, something like that. But it's like a 6-week class where people go and learn how to market themselves online, because that's where they are. And that's in a nutshell what we've been doing, I think. We also have the housing department at LEDC. It wasn't initially included in, I think, the Damascus overall, because we were focusing much more on business, but it is there, and we help the community to buy their first house with the programs that the state, the city, there's a lot of help with the down payment, or fixing your credit, or getting ready to buy a house, because it's not as easy to gather and be prepared. I'm telling you, it's the most excruciating process I've ever been into so far. But also, sometimes people encounter foreclosure or eviction, right? So walking them through that process and making sure we can do everything we can possibly to keep them there. But if we have to go through that process, navigating with them. And we have tenant services, but it's not in Virginia. It's only in DC and Maryland that helps with eviction, because that's where the funds are. And they're also in DC, there's a law called TOPA, where there are people living in buildings and somebody comes and wants to sell the building for the new developer, and we help them purchase that building and run it as a co-op. So our tenant services, they do way more than this sentence, because it's advocating and it's a lot of time on the hill, like in advocacy and so on. But the process is that some of the people we help them buy different buildings in DC rather than being torn down for $3,000, 1 bedrooms or something. So I think that's in a nutshell. That's it, what we're doing. Yeah. Yes? How
does the microloan program work? How do you select people and manage the loan?
Oh, I forgot about the lending part. Yes, we also did do loans and microloans. So we don't select them, as much more they apply to it. So we have loans, microloans from $500 to $250,000, right? But we are a CDFI, so it's a little bit more easy to get a loan with us than a traditional bank, because we take what's it called when you put the car for, in case you don't, collateral, I'm sorry, that was the word, or something. And we also, a lot of people are not prepared, so we work with them in the small business. Okay, let's get your ducks in a row in order to be able to qualify for that. Did that answer your question?
What's the repayment method for that? Is there a loan forgiveness?
Not for the microloans. Not for the microloans, because the majority are funded by SBA. Like they're funneled through SBA or through others, like bigger banks. It's not like us, we have the money. But there are some products that are much nicer and easier. For example, the Women Business Fund is it's just $2,500, but it's seed money, but there's no interest on that. We don't care about the credit score. And we let them repay 6 months after, right? So it depends on what and somehow. But also like the $2,500,000 one, it's not for startup businesses. It's much more expansion in restaurants or something, So it depends. We offer several grants, not necessarily us. We have another department called DCI, District Community Investments. I call it the bridge because it's much more simple. People give us a lot of money to give to the community, and through that department, we create grants. Like right now, you've guys heard about Fairfax Thrive? We are the one that is managing. So Fairfax County gave us several millions of dollars to go to small businesses. So we created the grant, the application, the screening, the disbursement, the reports, and all that for the county. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Anybody else? Ding, ding. Oh, I'm going to let them answer.
I don't remember. Okay, wait, let me think about it. You remember?
A friend of mine who lives in DC, she took advantage, she made bracelets, and she took advantage and offered get some mentorship from them. So she said, you have to apply, they have in everywhere. I was like, okay. And after, I think, a year and a half or so from me calling, but I have to say before that the person who started helping me, he taught me how to open my Instagram account. That is a big thing too. And then the year after they posted, I was like, yes, are you still interested? And that's how I got enrolled.
My pastor is a community leader in Alexandria, Pastor Lou Whiting from my father's house on Eisenhower Avenue, and a flyer was sent to him through his community outreach, and he then sent it to me.
For me, I had a mentor. Her name was Leah. Leah, you know her? Yeah, I had her. So she was like in the process. I think that's when Vincent was like formulating the food initiative. She was like, you need to apply, because I was telling her like I needed help with business plan. That was the main thing we were working on. And she was like, no, apply to this program, and send them your information. And she actually made sure I got accepted into the program as well. So that's how.
And I was teaching business English for the Colombian consulate. And Valeria, which, she's your coworker, she gave a workshop on, business-related information. And I was like, I need to connect with her. I need to talk to her. And then she introduced me to the whole world of LEDC. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And to my answer to that is through the quality of services we offer, I think that's how people keep getting to us. And I can talk from EWI, because I've been doing that for 12 years. Like, the majority of the clients that come to us are referrals from alumni. I want to say also that our trainers are alumni. And I just hired somebody from my team that is an alumni of EWI. So it's like, I think, like, in one word, is because of the quality of the services we give, people come back. And then, of course, we have the newsletter, we have the social media, flyers once in a while, and all that. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
It sounds to me like all of you are benefiting from word of mouth. Is there no overarching department or some place you can Google and say, I'm looking for help in starting a business? Is there any umbrella like that where you can help start to get basics? If you don't have the word of mouth, help from a neighbor, a friend, somebody in your same boat, that may be too big a thought, I don't know.
I think one of the things that's so special about LDC is the word of mouth brings the sincerity. So I hear what you're saying about the publicity of it, but I think LDC, they want what we want. And so when the word of mouth is important, because the people that are telling us have their own invested story. And so that makes you want to be a part of it. Whereas for me, like my company, I don't publicize. All of my business is done word of mouth based on my quality. And so for me, I came to LDC based on my pastor's understanding, and then I was interviewed, and that made me want it more because the people that I talked to. And so I think sometimes I hear what you're saying, but publicity sometimes takes away the genuine. That's all. That's just how I.
Thank you. And also, in the nonprofit world, the partnerships works much more better than any paid ads or anything like that. And investing in doing partnerships, because if you're gonna go right now on Google, have to start a business in Alexandria, you're gonna get, I think, the Women's Small Business Center, Alexandria Economic Development or something. And if they don't have a class right now or it doesn't fit with your need, they're gonna say, hey, so LEDC does, let me make an introduction. Right. And they come to us. So that's why, and you know, like original marketing, it is word of mouth. It works so much easier. But we do, I mean, besides of us attending so many events and always networking and always talking about, you know, our website, our social media, we do podcasts, we have a brochure and, you know, all of those things. Okay. Exactly. Yes, thank you, everybody.